All right, awesome. So I just wanted to chat tonight about recruiting. I posted that video from Jennifer Anderson, who is an awesome SSD that I look up to very much. She did a really, really good video on sponsoring, recruiting, and just the importance of how we need to look at it. So I thought we could just kind of go through, I was going to go through my takeaways from it. And if you guys didn't have a chance to watch it, that's okay, no problem. But if you did watch it, I want you to definitely share any of the takeaways that you may have had. But I loved how she talked about how we just need to think of recruiting as a lifestyle. And I am starting to do this even more now. I mean, I'm 5 years in, and yes, I've recruited, like in my 5 years, I've probably recruited overall, because there's been people who have quit and fell off. I'm thinking almost 50 people in my 5 years. And I've never thought of it as a lifestyle as much as I have in the last 6 months or so. I think just with like the pandemic and everything, and like being able to share the opportunity even more, and maybe sponsoring more people like quicker and on a more intense basis, I feel like I think about it as a lifestyle a little bit more than I ever have. So I love another thing that she talked about too. I personally always kind of said, I hate the word recruiting, but I like the word sponsoring. But she put it in a perspective in her video where she said, you don't need to be afraid of that word recruiting, because we are recruiters. We are recruiting them on our team and recruiting them to Scentsy. But then once we do recruit them, then we're their sponsor, because then that's the ongoing relationship. And the sponsoring is that relationship that we continue to build with them. So I was like, oh, that's a really good way to put it, because the word recruiting sounds harsh to me, but we don't need to be scared of it. But at the same time, I personally probably use the word sponsoring a little bit more than I use the word recruiting, because I just think it sounds a little less daunting and a little more of a natural word than recruiting. I don't know. Recruiting sounds very like MLM to me. And I think of Scentsy in such a higher light than that. And we've talked about this before, like how when we're thinking about people, making the decision for them if we don't ask them to join our team. So I think it's such an important thing to always have that mindset of, it's not our decision, it's their decision. So we need to always remember, if we're not offering the opportunity, we're being selfish in a way, because we don't know what their situation is. Okay. In a little bit, when I get down in my notes, I have that I want Heather to talk about what we were talking about today in our director chat, how you have somebody who's interested.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So a little bit, I'm just warning you that I'm going to call you out, because I want you to chat about what you shared with us today. And I'm just going to go over to the chat, because Tara said, I have a girl that really wants to join, but is hesitant because she works full time. I've talked to her a couple of times, not sure what else to do or to encourage her. Any suggestions? So Tara, have you, I feel like you probably have you shared that video with her that we did a couple weeks ago, where we had all the directors on and we talked about kind of excuse busting and what it's like to become a consultant and all that? And one of the excuse busters was, I work full time, I'm not going to have time, and talked about how you can still make this business work for anybody. I would definitely start there. And I'm gonna give an example of that too. Oh, thanks Heather for that reminder. So I'm gonna talk about that too a little bit later with like an example, but I would definitely share that video with her first and just say, hey, when you get some time, watch this, so you can see, get all the ideas and get all the ins and outs of what it's like to be a consultant, and tell her she can make the business what she wants it to be. Some people start off just as a hobbyist and then they turn it into something more. That's what I did. That's what a lot of us did. So you just never know where it's going to take you. So I just don't want her to have an impression of that it's going to be too hard without even trying it, because you never know until you can try. So share that with her. And if you need it again, it's definitely on our team page somewhere, or I can send it to you. So going back to that, making the decision for them, let's just make sure we're in that mindset where we remember to always offer it because, and I'm so guilty of it, I still am. Oh, I don't think they would want to do it, so I better not ask. No, ask everyone. And I am getting better at it. I am. I had more join conversations this week or last week than I've had in probably a month because we're in our be more, I'm getting all of our groups mixed up. We're in our back to basics group, the special group that we're doing. And it's just getting me in the mindset too. So it just getting us all in that mindset, it's always helpful. So a few other things that I pulled out of her training too is a quote that she said, people trust you when your words meet your actions over time. I loved that. Janelle, you're shaking your head. You must have watched the video and you probably took that away too.
Yep, got that wrote down.
Yep. Feel free to hop in if you have things you want to say, like if you interrupt me. But I really took that to heart because I'm like, that's so true of all the people that I've sponsored. They trust me when they see what I talk about create the actions that I've done over time. So like when I'm talking about how Scentsy's blessed my life, I keep sharing it, and then they keep seeing that it's true over and over again. They keep seeing that I'm successful with my parties. They keep seeing that I am sponsoring people and I'm helping them. Those are the actions that I'm talking about that stuff, but they're also the actions that are coming true over time. So then they're like, oh, well, she must really know what she's doing, I guess, if, people keep joining her team and she keeps earning these incentive trips and she must know what she's doing a little bit. She's having these team get-togethers. People like hanging out with her. Maybe she's a good leader. I don't know. And I think that's such a great quote. People trust you when your words meet your actions over time. So we have to remember that too. It takes time. There's so many people who wait to join, but they're always watching. And that's another thing that she talked about too. Remember, we're in that sponsoring mindset, and you're always sharing your story, sharing how Scentsy's blessing you, and sharing the things that it does for you to the people who aren't commenting, but they're still watching. People are always watching. I've had tons of people join my team that have been in the sidelines. Like, I would never even imagine them wanting to join, but then someday they just take that leap. So and when you ask people and they say no, that doesn't mean a no forever. And that's where I want Heather to jump in and kind of talk about her example that she shared with us today on Messenger.
Yeah, so I just got a text message from a good customer of mine. I wouldn't say she's, like my top customer or anything like that, but she's consistent and she refers me out. So, one of those good ones you treat well. Well, I had just dropped off a package to her. She was like commenting on the rainbow bundle I had posted. And it really must have gotten her kind of thinking, because next thing I know, she messages me saying, hey, so I'm thinking about becoming a consultant. Now, flashback 1 year, almost to the day, I personally reached out to her because she was influencing my page. And I said, hey, have you ever thought about doing what I do? Does this sound intriguing to you? And she said, well, no, yes, but I think I'd be good at it, but I don't have a lot of time. I'm getting my master's. She has 2 autistic sons. She's just like, I just don't have time. Understand, that's a crazy life, like when you're trying to go to school. I know her from work, so I know she's working full time and she has 2 autistic sons. That's a lot. And she's a single mom, so it's just her. So I was like, okay, cool. Thanks for entertaining this and entertaining it. And then so she actually referred me to who later would be my next recruit. She goes, well, I'm just not into it. How about you reach out to Destiny, because she'd be good at it. Okay, cool. So I went and reached out to her. So now 2 things happened in a year ago and now. I get this text message and I say, hey, yeah, that's great. I would love to help you out. I thought you were going to wait until you got your master's done. Her circumstances changed. She is now ready to take that leap. So just because it's a no today does not mean it's a no forever. I take no's as maybe laters. And knowing and being able to recollect that we had that conversation once before, that solidified her trust in me as actually like listening to her, actually wanting her to join my team, not just trying to be that quote unquote, as Jennifer said, that direct salesy person. But also when I first asked her, she ended up referring me to somebody else that she thought would be good too. And that person ended up actually joining my team. After she also told me no, 24 hours later, she came back and said, well, actually, what's the details about this? And then I was able to talk her through that, and she joined too, and she did really well. I earned some incentive trips because of her. I became a director because she was very rah-rah in my team. She stepped back a little bit now, but still, no now does not mean no forever. No now means maybe later.
100%. And I think that's also a perfect example of how Heather develops relationships. And I think we're all doing this. And this is one of the most important things. Developing that relationship first with your customer is the most important thing, because that's what's going to build that trust. That's what's going to build that rapport and the relationship first. And then they could see themselves doing what you do. And you also said something else that I wanted to bring up that Jennifer said. Did you watch the video, Heather?
Yeah.
Okay. I love how you already do that, and I don't do that. So like if you're talking to a stranger, which this is so random, and like I want to challenge myself to do this, like in Meyer when I'm standing in line, or when I'm like at the post office or whatever, and like I have a Scentsy something on me, you know, I'm wearing Scentsy or whatever, and somebody might just strike up a conversation with me, and then I say, well, what do you do? And then of course they're going to say, well, what do you do? They're going to come back to it. So like if you ever want to start a conversation with someone and they're a stranger, you can say, well, tell me what you do. And then they're automatically going to come back to you and ask you what you do. And then you have the opportunity to talk about Scentsy. And then if it's someone who you already know, like Heather said, you can say, have you ever thought about doing what I do? That's a great icebreaker. Have you ever thought about doing what I do? And I don't say that either. And I'm going to start saying it, because I usually say, have you ever considered making money off your purchases? Like that's a good one too. But I like the simplicity of, have you ever thought about doing what I do? It's just an easier thing to roll off the tongue and like get a conversation started. But let's go back to the, no, I just lost my train of thought. I'm looking at my notes. Well, I want to know, has anybody ever had one of those stranger conversations? Have you guys ever had one?
Yeah, but not about Scentsy.
No.
In general, though, all the time.
Well, yeah.
People see my face and they're just like, I need to tell you my life problems.
That's funny. I was walking through Costco the other day. I think I told the director this. Yeah, so I was walking through Costco. I wasn't wearing this sweatshirt, but I was wearing another one. And the woman doing the samples, that you can't touch or eat the samples, but they have the samples sitting out at Costco right now, which I think is so stupid. I don't want to look at the samples. I want to eat the dang samples. But she's sampling something, and she's like, oh, are you a Scentsy consultant? And I said, I am. And she's like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. She goes, I used to live in Boise and I used to work at home office. And I'm like, no way. I'm in Grand Rapids, and she used to work at home office in Boise, Idaho. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. So she said, I've always wondered what it's like to be a consultant, just because, you know, when you work at home office, you can't be a consultant. You're not allowed to do that. But she's like, now that I'm here, I just always wondered what it was like. She's like, do you feel like this is a really saturated area? She started asking me all these questions, and I'm like, oh no, I don't think so. Like, I do really well here. It's a great place to be a consultant. And I said, do you have one? And she goes, well, yeah, I still buy from a lady that lives in Boise. And I said, hey, if you ever need anybody local, just let me know. And I gave her my card. But I just thought it was such a small world. So branding yourself is a #1 conversation starter. And I'm getting better about that. I actually have gone broke recently on the American Hero website, because I keep buying all of her cute clothes. But branding yourself is such a great conversation starter. So whenever you can do that, it's a good thing to do. And I guess my challenge for you guys will be, maybe try one of those stranger conversations when you're in the store next time, because there's been so many times, I guess I've been like at the especially when you're at like the customer service desk and you're always waiting in line, and like I tend to strike up conversations with people that are waiting in line. So it's kind of fun. We should challenge ourselves to try it and just see what happens, because you never know. If you just hand out your business card, it's better than nothing, right? So the last thing I wanted to talk about was when you do start to have that conversation with somebody, don't word vomit, because that's what I've tended to do in the past when I have somebody new. And it was so funny in the video when you watch it, Jennifer was cracking me up because she's like, oh my gosh, you make 25% right away. And then after you sell your first 1,000, and then if you ever make 2,000 in 1 month, you make 30%, and then we have the Ascension Warmer of the Month. It's so cool. And then you have this and you have that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally do that. Because we get so hyped about Scentsy and we get so excited that we just like word vomit. And I thought some really great advice that she said was only answer their questions. Don't come at them with the facts. Only answer the questions that they're asking you. Oh, well, do I get a discount? Well, you don't necessarily get a discount, but you get commission on what you sell. That's your discount. Oh, okay. You know, you don't have to go into like crazy detail with them, because it might actually deter and scare them. So I thought that was really great advice. And then other advice that she gave that's so important, that I've also been guilty of, is time kills all deals. I thought that was really important, because her messaging behind that is, if you've got somebody that's interested, don't wait. Don't wait and say, well, maybe next month would be a better month to join, or, you know, I have more time next week to talk to them, so I'm gonna wait and I'll give them a call next week, or I'm really nervous because I don't really know if they're like super into it, and I want to make sure they have time to talk to their husband and this and that. The longer you give a person when they show that initial interest, answer their questions and have that relationship going, because time kills all deals. They'll give themselves excuses to not do it, and they'll screw themselves in their mind thinking, oh no, okay, I can't do this. I'm going to be too nervous. I can't go live like she does. I'm not going to be able to sell to that many people. All the excuse busters that we were doing in that video that time, they're going to do that if they have too much time to think about it. Okay. I'm not saying rush somebody into joining. They need that time to think, but don't put it off is what I'm saying. So do you guys have any other?
24 to 48 hours. No more than 48 hours.
Isn't that crazy?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Did you have any other takeaways you took from it, Janelle?
Looks like I wrote down pretty much a lot of what you said. She also said to be real and let the conversation be organic. So don't try to, force a conversation. Don't, be like, oh, hey, I'm a Scentsy consultant, blah, blah, blah. Just kind of let it come out naturally. Mm-hmm. Like you were saying, oh, what do you do? And then they'll in turn ask what you do. And I watched the video after that too, the recruiting the right way, when she had somebody else talking. I can't remember the lady's name, but they really talked about how you just have to hear a lot of no's. The more no's you get, the more yeses you'll get. So don't be afraid of the no. Mm-hmm.
And the better you'll get at it too. Mm-hmm. And another thing that I liked how she said, we're going to just kind of have to get creative when maybe you are having that conversation with the stranger and they say, well, what do you do? What do you say? I'm a Scentsy consultant. No, that's not good enough. Like I was thinking to myself as I was listening to it, what would I say? I'm like, I think I would say, I specialize in making everything smell good. Something like that. That's funny that they might be like, what do you mean? Mm-hmm. Well, home decor that also doubles as home fragrance. Something like that, instead of just, I'm a Scentsy consultant, because people don't know what that is. You'd be surprised. I mean, we're 17 years old now, and some people still have no idea what Scentsy is. So I thought that was interesting too, how we have to get creative with our own kind of like branding of what we say we do, besides just saying, I'm a Scentsy consultant. So if anybody has anything, like Heather, what would you say if somebody said, what do you do? I'm sure you have something creative you'd say.
No, I don't. In fact, when she said that hit me in a certain way, because it's exactly what did she exactly say? It was something like, all I remember is her saying that she empowers people to like find them own themselves or something like that.
She is a leader in helping.
Yeah.
She's a business owner who helps other people run their own businesses as well.
Yes. Yeah.
When she said that, my mind was just like,
that's not what I think of first either.
Yeah.
Even though that is what we do, you know.
It's exactly what we do. It sounds impactful. It's gonna draw them into that conversation. And it just blew my mind when she said that. I was like, what? Like, because honestly, I do that. I'm a fancy consultant.
Yeah.
But because I do have a day job, sometimes, that ends up, like, when they ask me what I do, I'll be like, I'm an assistant. So, like, there's that too. And I don't know, I got to think of people more as, like, Scentsy related rather, you know what I mean? Like, think business, Scentsy business when you're in all your interactions. I think the biggest thing that hit me in the recruiting conversation that Jennifer was talking about was when she said, like, when she changed her perspective of when she started getting fearful of having that conversation, how she said, I'm being selfish when I don't offer it. That hit me kind of in a certain way, because I do feel like when I'm asking, and you guys that aren't directors, this still happens to directors. So don't think that it doesn't. When you have that conversation, you can get fearful. You're like, what if they don't? What if they say no? What if they think different of me? What if they stop being my customer? I legitimately had somebody join my team and then she ghosted me. She got overwhelmed with the business and ghosted. So things like that are going to happen, and it's unfortunate, but don't let it define you. And when she like shifted that perspective of like, I'm getting the gift of my time and talent to help better your life, and I'm just being selfish when I don't ask, that hit me in a different way.
Yeah, that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I like how she said to think of it as being generous, because like gift giving is my like love language. And so it kind of made me think, you love to give gifts, offering this is being generous, and it's like offering them a gift. So I need to think of it in that manner to like make myself feel more comfortable asking the question. I just want to share something real quick. Today I had a class with work, and we were sitting in class, and someone said something to me about Scentsy, and someone else in the class says, oh, what's Scentsy? And this jackass was like, oh, it's a pyramid scheme. So right away I'm like pissed, and all I could think about was when Heather responded to someone, I remembered what she wrote. I said, let me stop you right there. It's not a pyramid scheme, because I don't do pyramid schemes. So I went into this whole detail about what Scentsy is, how every month we start at zero, just like the people below us, and like we, whatever. I won't go into all that. But anyways, I had catalogs on me. So then all of a sudden, people were asking me more about Scentsy. I handed out some catalogs, and I walked away with some orders today from class during work.
Yes, nice.
And then I leave there, and I go to the post office, and I have to mail out this thing with a bar in it. And the lady there is like, she's a new lady at the post office, by the way, Beth. She's actually nice. She's like, this smells really good. Do you sell this? I'm like, I do sell it. Let me tell you about it. You can always find a way to incorporate it. If like, for the person who was, I forget who it was who was asking about, they have someone on the fence that might want to join or not. There's always a way to work a full-time job and do Scentsy. I was at my full-time job and getting orders for Scentsy. And it's like, you just find a way to work it into your life. And like, for me, it's my escape. I do Scentsy for me. And I was watching one of the trainings. I don't remember what it was, but she worded it in a way where she goes, it gave me a sense of community I didn't know I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And that hit home to me, because I have I have a small circle, but I have a lot of friends. But I hold dear the people who are really special to me and close. But I've never felt like I was lacking in community or lacking in friendships. And this group of women, you guys have become like for real sisters to me. And you gave me that sense of community that I didn't know I needed or that I was lacking in my life. And so that's something also I like to share when I talk to someone about giving them, you know, the opportunity to join. It's a gift, and you just the things that come along with it are just amazing. But I'll stop talking now.
No, that was awesome.
That is perfect. Yeah.
Thank you. And that reminded me too, because maybe when someone is looking to join something like Scentsy, maybe they don't really care about the product. I mean, we care about the product, but maybe that's not their number one thing. Maybe they are just looking for that sense of belonging, that sense of community that they don't have somewhere else. A lot of times that's what people do look for. So we need to remember that too. And I think that's a great thing to share. And that's what I promote too a lot when I'm talking to people, is like, that's one of the very first things I say. We have an amazing team page of women who are inspiring and uplifting, and you're never alone in your journey, because it's so true. That's what our team page is there for. It's there for everybody. And anybody has a question, people are going to be positive. And that is one thing that I am super proud of on our team. It's very, very rare that we have any negativity on it. And I think it's such a good, positive place that we've all built together. And it makes me really, really proud, because that doesn't happen with everybody. And it doesn't happen when there's this much estrogen happening in a company. So I think I'm really proud of that. So I love that, Esther. Thank you for sharing. And I'm really excited to hear what happens, Tara, with your friend that is interested in joining, because that's the number one thing that people say. Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna have time. I work a full-time job. I would say of the 230 people in our Scentsy group, 75 to 80% of them probably work full-time. Heather's a director, she works full-time. Janelle's a director, she works full-time. Sorry for that noise, that's my Visley. Did you guys hear that little like thing? I Visley posted. So, I mean, looking at this group right here, like Ashley runs a very successful business. Esther runs a successful business. They work full-time. I don't know if Paige does. I know Sarah works full-time. She owns her own insurance agency and she kills it every month. Mindy works full-time. Like, I don't know about Paige and Christina, but I know, and I don't know about you either, Tara, but so many people work full-time and they can make it work. So, yeah. I'm excited.
I have a question about recruiting. I have 2 people that have came to me wanting to join my team. One of them said, well, I'll join on Thursday when I get paid. And I know money's tight for her. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll get with you Thursday. Nothing. She still hasn't joined.
Mm-hmm.
The other one said, well, I want to talk to my husband about it first. That's fine. Because they have 3 kids and she just had another one. So I messaged her, still nothing. So I don't want to be annoying, but I also don't want to wait too long.
You're thinking about that time kills all deals right now. So I would always try to find another point of contact that you can share that's worthwhile and beneficial to them. So say for these 2 people, for example, have you shared the video? I always go back to the video because I think it's very useful when we did that video with all the directors talking about the excuse busting. If you haven't shared that with them yet, I would do that. I have a girl who wrote me out of the blue a week and a half ago, and she said she just ordered 2 mini warmers from me. I'm going to deliver them this week. And she wrote me out of the blue and said, interested in learning what it takes to be a consultant and how I would sign up. Okay. So then of course, right away, I sent her the join page. Let me see I'll give you an example of what I did with her.
Well, she's looking that up, Ashley. Particularly the one that you know has money issues. Do you ever put in bulk orders where like you get all the rewards?
Yeah, sometimes.
You could offer a free kit, like no cost to them, with those rewards. And I've gotten like 5 or 6 teenies that way.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. And if you're willing to give up the rewards too, but you don't have to do that. You can just charge them the $59. I don't know what I said. I'm a big advocate of the voice messaging. So like I did a voice message with her. But the first thing I said was I sent her my join link, because what if she had a, bug up her butt and she's like, all right, just do it right now. Well, she got the join link. And then I sent her a picture of what the starter kit looks like, the $99 starter kit. And then I must have sent her a voice message of something. I don't know what I said. And then I said, I would really like you to check out this video. And I sent her the YouTube link to the opportunity night that we did. And then I said, holler with any, she goes, thank you, I will look tonight. This is February 11th. And then I said, holler with any questions. And then on February 13th, I said, happy Valentine's weekend. Any questions for me? It is still unread. But I'm going to have another point of contact with her this week when I deliver her 2 mini warmers to her. And you best believe that's when I'm going to open up that conversation again and hope that we can, keep talking about it. And so I'm going to have to think of something else to bring her that's of value. So what it's going to be is I'm going to put together a join packet for her with her order that has a couple little extra things in it. This is terrible, but I don't even think I have any join brochures right now. I should probably have some of those. But I'll put together a packet that has, she already has a catalog, so I'm gonna have to get creative and put some other things in there. But that'll be my next point of contact with her.
Okay, I'll do that then. I'll send the videos out. I also want to point out that not all consultants are nice.
No, they're not.
One, I will not specify. One of the people that came to our facility to give our COVID vaccines had a Sensi pen. So when I filled out paperwork, I said, oh, who's a consultant here? And she's like, it's me. And I'm like, so am I. And I was like excited. And she's like, that's nice. And I'm like, wow, okay. That's cool.
Yep.
Rude.
Not everybody's Sensi rings and butterflies, unfortunately.
I should have stole her pen.
You should have. Beth, I have a join brochure. If you need one, I can leave it out tomorrow when you drop the girls off.
I actually would love that. You want to would you just put one in Madison's backpack?
Yeah. I'll put it in with the sign.
Okay.
The number.
So Christina had said, I work an almost full-time job and a second part-time and work photography on the side.
Holy shit.
So yeah. And then Tara said, Beth, listening to you right now, I started doing monthly happy mail with that girl thinking about joining. Is there anything extra I could send her to spark her interest?
Join brochure.
Join brochure. So those things that, your superstar director doesn't even have in stock right now, join brochures. Not smart. Try to have join brochures around you. If you've not given her a catalog yet, give her a catalog. You could put together a cute little package, like a catalog, a join brochure. If you have any other brochures, like about the body line, about the, I'm slowly buying those.
Washer whiffs.
Yeah, samples. Make her
Get them addicted to washer whiffs. Tell them they'll
It's
get
easy.
paid back on their own laundry detergent.
I have a couple people I got addicted to the laundry line, so I feel accomplished.
I'm slowly buying like all of the specialized little brochures that Sensi came out with. Like this is the body one, and I have the wax and warmers one, or the warmers one. So like any of this like extra info you have about Sensi, just put it all together in a cute little bag and sample her up, and just maybe that'll be the thing that gets her extra excited about it. And I would write her a handwritten note too. Those go a long way. So if nobody else has anything to share, we can hop off. I should probably get my kids to bed for their 3 hours they get to go to school tomorrow on their half day.
I should probably get myself to bed.
I know Esther needs to go to bed too.
Mm-hmm.
I have class, so I don't have to start till 8 tomorrow.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
4 a.m. So normal this week.
Well, thanks everybody for hopping on tonight. I appreciate it. And I will post this. I recorded it, so I will post the replay. So if any of your teammates want to watch it, and I'll post it to our Back to Basics group too. So thanks for hopping on, and it was good to see your faces. And I hope you have a great rest of your week.
You too.
You too.
Go team.
Bye.